What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first review of my Children of the Corn franchise review series, starting with, of course, the classic Children of the Corn, released in 1984. I bought this from the wonderful Arrow Video. You got the new cover art behind the classic one. I like this. Artwork a lot, actually. What I don't like is the blue cases, because I think the silver ones or the clear ones looked much better. But I do like that new artwork, but nothing beats the original artwork on this specific one, in my opinion. That one just takes the cake for me. Or the corn, I should say. Anyway, talking about the movie itself. First time watches all across the board. So this is the first time I've seen this one. I've seen clips and I've seen reviews before. And I've actually avoided this series a lot because I've heard horror stories, not, good horror, but horror stories on how cheesy the franchise is, even right from the first film. And I saw clips of it, and I could tell that it is a cheesy film and a product of its time for sure, especially like in the vein of Stephen King adaptations and how they usually are, which are complete cheese fests. But very recently, I'm like, why don't I just get them all and review them all? Just for shits and giggles. I don't know. There's franchises that I've avoided for a long time and then just randomly decided that I want to watch them all, and this is one of them. So I'm going to be watching 10 of them for sure, because I know there's 11, but there's one that came out in 2020 that apparently is not very readily available. So I don't know if it was supposed to be released and wasn't, but I'll have to do a little more research on them. There's definitely 10 of them for sure, though, that I'll be reviewing. And I already bought the first 7, so those are definitely coming very soon. Children of the Corn, 1984. This was directed by Fritz Kirsch, based on the short novella Horror Story by Stephen King, of course, which was originally published in his book anthology called Night Shift. And this stars Linda Hamilton and Peter Horton as your lead heroes, kind of thing. Outside of course, Isaac, played by John Franklin. John Franklin playing Isaac, the main villain. Who's really good, by the way. And I always knew that he was actually not a kid, like he was actually a grown adult. He had a condition that he didn't age or whatnot, so he was a little guy with a little voice, and he did really, really well in this role. He's very creepy. I guess some people could find him annoying, and I could see why. Like, I wouldn't tell somebody that they're wrong if they're annoyed by this character, but he really delivers in the evilness, like the evil little rascalness of him. And I really appreciated it. I really dug it. I dug the performance hands down. But yeah, the film starts off gorier than I expected, for one. You have this little kid narrating, and he's talking about his family coming from church, and they always go to this diner. And then at this diner, they play out this scene where whoever's behind the counter, this waitress, is basically poisoning the coffee to poison all the adults. And you get Isaac with his stupid little hat outside, like the one that was in the friggin', I'm not going to show it again. The big round black hat, or whatever you call it. I don't know what those hats are called. He's outside the window, and then you've got this guy inside playing, I'm pretty sure pinball, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And I just wrote him down as the ginger kid, because I didn't get his name until a third into the film or whatnot. His name's Malachi. So Malachi, he's not introduced right away, so I just wrote him down as the ginger kid, because I mean, if you've seen Children of the Corn, I think this kid's more annoying than Isaac could ever be, in my opinion. This kid, he has that face you want to punch. That's Malachi. He's in the diner, and all these people are getting poisoned by coffee, and then these kids just start massacring them, you could say. This one guy gets his fingers on a meat slicer, and it's pretty horrific. Like I I wasn't expecting for this film to be throwing you into the gore and the violence immediately, or how much they show. And they show a lot, and they shock you a lot. I wasn't expecting this film to be as shocking as it was. I thought it was going to be tamer for some reason, but it's really not. It's definitely like horror centric. So that's how the film starts, and then this little kid who's narrating, he has a sister named Sarah, and Sarah, ever since this event, started drawing these pictures, and she just constantly draws, and she's kind of like, her drawings sort of predict the future kind of thing, so you get this supernatural element going on as well. Of course, this diner situation happens 3 years prior, and then after the diner situation, when the film continues with Vicky and Bert's character, played by Linda Hamilton and Peter Horton, it's present day, but you know, that's a horror movie trope. They all, like, when they say present day, clearly this is the 80s present day, not present day present day. This is no 2021 film. So it's kind of annoying when they do that, because it automatically makes the film irrelevant, because it's not present day anymore. Present day 1984 is what they meant. Regardless, it's annoying, but it is what it is. Vicky and Bert. Vicky and Bert are taking a road trip for Bert, because Bert is going to take an internship. He's a doctor, and he's taking an internship, I think in Iowa, but I'm not exactly sure what town. Regardless, they cross a town called Gatlin, and basically this whole Gatlin town is where the film basically takes place. They also introduce a town called Hemingford, but like 99% of the film, if not all of the film, takes place in Gatlin. So I don't know exactly where they were heading, but they were heading to Bert's internship, where he was going to be, doing that. But on the way, of course, they end up hitting a kid, and when they hit this kid, Bert realizes that when he gets out of the car to check, like, the body, that the kid was already murdered, because he had his throat slashed. So he was about to die, and he kind of walked into the middle of the road from the cornfield and got smacked, and that was that. But he was pretty much already dead, because he was bleeding from the throat. After investigation, he noticed that this kid was already going to die anyway, but this obviously leads them to confusion and whatnot, but I might be getting a little bit ahead of myself still. This kid, basically, he's one of the first to be introduced from this. There's this cult going on. This whole area, this whole county area, is highly, highly religious. You can tell right from the bat. Even the car radio is hilarious. There is no room for the fornicator. There is no room for the homosexual. It's one of those, like, towns. And you know kind of what you're getting yourself into. Now, the story basically revolves around, it's a killer kid film. So these kids have taken over this town. I don't know how much I could suspend my belief on that a bunch of kids took over this town. Mind you, it seems like they play off Isaac actually being an adult in the film. Not only is he played by an adult, like the actor, but I think, because they do mention him being a preacher before. They said they meant, like, the little kid, his name is Job. The little kid narrating at the beginning, his name is Job. And he talks about when Isaac was younger, he used to be a preacher, and that's why everybody listens to him. But Isaac is basically a psycho, right? So I think the story plays off as Isaac actually being an adult the whole time. So that kind of makes sense. And obviously the whole brainwash culture is relevant. To convince a bunch of kids to actually be murderous and, kill all their parents, because that's where the plot goes. They actually are convinced to kill all their parents. There's no adults in this town. Yes, this town is small, but not a single adult anywhere for 3 years. And then you have these two, like, lead kid characters, Job, It's spelled Job. It's spelled Job, but it's pronounced Job. People call him Joby, and his little sister Sarah, and they're like the protagonist kids of the film. They're the ones you root for. But everybody else besides them are crazy kids running this town. I don't know. It's kind of believable, but it's kind of not. It's kind of both. Anyway, like I'd have to say. There is a scene when Vicky and why do I keep forgetting his name? Bert. Where Vicky and Bert are introduced in the motel, and then Vicky starts dancing to this like oldies song, and I really caught that song caught my attention. It's called I had to look it up. "School Is Out" by Gary U.S. Bonds. First of all, I like good music in films. Second of all, that song was extremely catchy, and third of all, it really went with the scene. So I just thought I'd mention that as well. "School Is Out" by Gary U.S. Bonds. I love that. I love that song thrown in there to introduce the two characters. The dream sequence was cool, where Vicky, she gets out of the car and she goes to investigate the body once Bert goes into the cornfield to see if he could catch whoever did this thing to this kid. And when the kid like gets out of the road, I thought it was actually like I didn't think it was a dream sequence. I thought it was actually happening. I was like, whoa, that was a good surprise. So I appreciated that. The gas station attendant, very tropey again when it comes to horror films. He It was hilarious when he said, "Oh, sorry, we got no gas. Oh, sorry, we got no diesel either. But sorry, if you ain't buying gas or diesel, you can't use the restroom either." It's like, wow, okay, so you got no diesel or gas, so I can't buy shit, and I can't go to the washroom either. Not that they wanted to, but I just found that funny. It was a little clever humor thrown into there. And and then when they finally get into Gatlin, which takes them a bit of driving, here's one of the biggest tropes, especially that I've been seeing in horror lately, but a lot. The people walking into a home that doesn't belong to them. Just walking into a random home. Like, they'll knock and then they'll just walk in. Who does that in real life? But it happens in horror so much. Walking into a random person's home is such a trope in horror. It's crazy. It gets me every time. It happens in this film where they just walk into a person's house trying to look for people because the town is empty and there's not a soul in sight. It's a ghost town, literally. But even still, like, why would you... like, people just don't walk into random people's homes outside of horror movies, but apparently in horror movies it happens all the time. It's like a regular thing. I do really like the use of corn, and corn, littering everything kind of thing, being that it's called Children of the Corn. But they really utilize corn very well in creepy ways. I'm actually surprised they didn't utilize a lot more scarecrows in this film. Like, a film called Children of the Corn about evil children who are like crazy religious and crazy cult-ish in a field full of corn where they have a god which they call He Who Walks Among the Rows. That's every time they mention the god, it's He Who Walks Among the Rows, and He Who Walks Among the Rows is watching you, and He Who Walks Among the Rows is judging you. But with all this corn stuff, I'm surprised that they didn't utilize scarecrows a lot more, because it would fit a film like this, and it would be cool to see scarecrows used with something. Like, I like the crucifix stuff. I like how they captured Vicky to sacrifice her and put like a crown of corn on her head. Everything is corn. There's corn all over the diners. When they investigate the suitcase that kid Joseph was carrying that got hit by the car, the crucifix is corn made with like corn stalks and corn corn beads, whatever. Just so much corn everywhere. It made me laugh. It's good. It's good. They utilize corn, but again, they could have utilized scarecrows just as much, and it would have been pretty good. And then they reference the blue man, who also is, put up on a crucifix to be worshipped and whatnot. And that looked cool. Like the whole, like I said, everything that they had to do with like crucifixions and stuff like that looked cool. All the kids are creepy. They did a really good job with making the kids look creepy and making Malachi look annoying as fuck. But other than Malachi looking annoying as fuck, the kids are they're all really creepy and they do a really good job on the kids. If I heard Malachi go Outlander one more time with that stupid fucking face of his though, I swear to God I was gonna snap. Jesus, that kid. Ugh, I didn't even write down the actor's name. I'm sorry. Bless the kid, but fuck is he annoying. He was going for annoying clearly, so he did his job well. But Outlander! Outlander! Jesus, shut the fuck up. And Linda Hamilton too, she's actually shorter than I thought she was, because when he's got her and he's trying to lure out Bert by this whole like Outlander shit, because Bert's the Outlander. Linda Hamilton beside this guy, she's actually like really short. She's at least like just above his neck. I thought she was taller than that for some reason. This was in 1984 too, so she was filming this film at the exact same time as Terminator, which I found that pretty interesting. I love the church scene when Bert walks into the church and they're about to be sacrificing that kid named Omis. And Omis, you actually see him carving the symbol on his chest and then pouring his blood into like a little cup that's made of, guess what, corn. And then that one psychotic girl who ends up being actually psychotic throughout, is about to drink from it, and then Bert waltzes in and starts to question everybody about what their actions are and what the hell they're doing, rewriting the Bible and all this, and what this whole cult situation is going on. And then gets stabbed, of course, which shocked me, seeing a kid stab an adult seriously, like with force, like not even like hesitating about it, but this chick just grabs a knife and just right into his chest. Was shocking. And then him just trying to hold off a bunch of kids, which makes me like, in my mind I'm like, how hard would it be to handle a bunch of kids? Like, how hard would it be to fend off a bunch of kids? Like, it'd be easy out in my mind, right? But then I start thinking about it a little more, and it's like, yeah, you get an army of them. You get an army of crazy religious ones at that, brainwashed by this young, I guess, kid-looking preacher. You never know. And the third act, the way it goes supernatural, I could dig it. It definitely ventures away from just Isaac being crazy and Isaac having this fanaticness to him about this whole rewriting the Bible and becoming like extreme, like, and Malachi too. Like, I guess Malachi is the rule maker, because his whole like games are bad and forbidden, music is forbidden, everything is forbidden, with the whole Monopoly thing. I guess he's more of like the rule maker, but with Isaac, like, I thought it was just gonna stick to that theme, but I don't mind that they actually introduced an actual like monster god kind of thing, because they made him look fairly cool the way he was coming, like popping the ground up and coming in like friggin' Bugs Bunny and an evil version of that, and just like pulling the dirt up and stuff like that. It was creepy, and the deep growls like sounding like death metal, like when Isaac gets possessed too, after the God basically takes him, when Malachi betrays him and sacrifices him to the gods in place of Vicky. I don't know exactly why he did that, why he replaced Isaac with Vicky. I get that he was sick of Isaac, and I guess I understand that he wanted to overpower Isaac, but just letting Vicky go completely, I didn't get that part. I figured he would sacrifice Vicky and then sacrifice Isaac along with her, kind of thing. But no, he's just like, yeah, let her go. We're putting him instead. We're putting this bitch up instead of her. But anyways, when the god gets to him, that guy can scream. He can scream like a high pitched like girl scream, like when he when the monster is wrapping around him. Which literally, it's the effects on this film that date it completely. It's definitely the effects. The effects are the worst. Um, the what do you call it? The entity, the presence, the god itself, the whatever devoured Isaac on that crucifix. It looks like a glitch. It looks like a glitch. You have, like, you know when you get like a computer monitor and it smashes, and then you get the parts that are normal, like with screen, and then you get cracks and the cracks are like purple. It's like that, except the entity was like yellow or something. But it looked like that. It looked that bad. It looked like a stamp of some digital color put on the regular screen. Like it was so, and the way it moved, so bad and so dated. Like dated to the negative. Dated to the negative. It did not look good. It does not look good. I don't know how it looked good back then, for God's sakes. But it's not aging well today, that's for sure. But it doesn't like make the movie suck, because everything else around it is pretty good and creepy. Like it's just one little shitty aspect that could have been done differently. To like, they could have just decided on something else to not do that, because doing that just, it's too much. And then yeah, when Isaac is possessed and he's got like the whole deep voice now, it's I like that. I liked possessed Isaac a lot. And then of course you get the ending where the little kid Job mentions the blue man used to be Officer. I wrote his name down. Officer Hotchkiss. There you go. Officer Hotchkiss, who was going to destroy this whole cult going on by burning the field down. And he didn't get to before he was killed by Malachi, because Malachi is like the evil henchman of Isaac, who Isaac is just like the guy who preaches, I guess. But yeah, Malachi ended up killing this guy, Officer Hodgkins, which obviously was the sheriff of the town, and putting him on the crucifix, and as well as all the bodies of the other adults, which again, I think is a little far-fetched, but you have to suspend your belief on that a lot. But you know, it is a pretty big army of evil kids in this really tiny town with a lot of preacher folk on the radio, and very isolated from everywhere else, because the nearest other town they mentioned was like 19 miles away or something, which was Hemingford. So this was all shot in Iowa, outskirts of Iowa, but basically shot in Iowa. And it shows. It shows. I'm not familiar with Iowa, but I've heard it's pretty cornfield left and right for miles. But yeah, for a first time watch entirely, I mean, it's really really good. It's fun. It's creepy, and it's well acted, and it's a trope of the 80s. With the music, I love a film with good fitting music, and this is it for sure. And I'm very excited to be checking out the other Children of the Corn films, and exploring this series, because or this franchise, because you know, I'm sure there's going to be some terrible ones. I know there's at least one made for TV one. So I'm curious to see what they're like, but it's going to be a lot of fun to explore this series, especially as like a lead up to Halloween. I think that'll be pretty cool. And these features on this Arrow video too, I'm excited for that as well. So that's the original 1984 Children of the Corn. That's my first review, and the series is coming, so check out some more. But subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more of these and others as well, of course. and 31 Days of Horror in October is coming. So stay tuned for everything. I will be back. Until next time, have a good one, and cheers.